Nike co-founder Phil Knight. Now, we've talked about him. He is pulling out all the stops. He is declaring war on anybody that's a Democrat in Oregon. Doesn't care who the Republican is. Just get them in there. Get them in there. Democrat, no. Democrats not pulling their weight, not governing the way that they should be, according to Phil Knight. Let's see what the deal is. What's he doing to make this happen? Knight has invested millions into Democrat Tina Kotek's opponents, and polls show a Republican lead. Could we possibly have a Republican governor in Oregon? That was in my lifetime. I think I was a little kid when the last one happened, and times were wildly different then. You drove a big, huge American car. Housing costs were minimal. Just didn't have all the crazy population. Yeah, you had a gas crisis, and that was always kind of wild going to the gas. Will we get gas today, or do we have to help Dad push the car home because we ran out? All those different. We had Watergate. I mean, just some wild stuff back then. But things here are to the point where it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Anybody but the person that's going to perpetuate what's already going on in Oregon, which has been the Democrat Party. And they've been in leadership in Oregon, and they've been in leadership here in Washington for years. Is this the year? Is this the year where things change? Might be. This might be the perfect storm. It does feel like the perfect storm, right? Kind of one of those things where, okay, so you've got inflation still rolling, right? It's still rolling through. The Fed's still committed to doing its thing. Another 3/4 point pop in November, another 3/4 point pop almost assured in December, because inflation stats are still coming out, and you've got some ups and downs there. But for the most part, people are feeling the pain, not just pain at the pump, but pain at the grocery store. Insurance renewals, you name it, everything has just gone up. It is just expensive to live. Crime has gone up. So you got the whole economy, inflation thing, and that's on Biden. That's on the Democratic Party. That's on them. You've got the whole gas prices thing, and I think everybody is pointing at Biden. He can only hide from this stuff for so long. You can only say, well, yeah, it's Putin's price hike, and people just don't believe that. So you've got all these things going on, and it's the perfect opportunity for Republicans to keep hammering on crime, hammering on inflation, hammering on homelessness. And that's what we got Phil Knight doing. Anybody but the Democrats. He's just outright declaring war on Democrats in Oregon because things are not going well there. Nike co-founder Phil Knight said he will do anything to block Democrats from keeping their hold on Oregon's gubernatorial seat Saturday. That's what he said. He's like, yeah, whatever it takes. Don't really care. Show me the money. Knight, 84. I didn't realize he was that old, but he did start Nike in like 1960-something, like well before I was born. Knight, 84, has poured cash into the campaigns of Democrat Tina Kotek's opponents in the governor's race. Again, whomever the other guy is with the R in front of their name or gal, yeah, that's what we're doing. Who cares? Just get them the money, right? He helped to kickstart a campaign from Betsy Johnson, a former Democrat running as an independent who was serving as a major spoiler for Kotek. She's taken away votes from Kotek. Independent, used to be a Democrat. She's taken away votes from Kotek. And then Republican Christinze Drazan, she's got an opportunity to knock this one out. And the reason I focus on this one is this race is because it's local, and it's also in an area with Portland being what it is, the train wreck that it is. I think this race is really critical, and this race is going to be a real indicator of what's going on in this year's midterm elections. Johnson's candidacy is giving Republican Christinze Drazan the opportunity she needs in a liberal electorate no longer confident in the state's recent far left policies. Now, you're hearing a lot about that. I've been hearing this for months, that folks down in Portland are, off the record, and they won't say it out loud. They won't say it out loud in downtown Portland because they're not going there. But what they're not saying is, you know what, they might actually vote for somebody else other than the Democrats that got them in the trouble they're in now. I mean, and it makes sense, right? It makes total sense. We went down this wildly crazy turn after the whole George Floyd thing. All these far left antics came up. Defund the police was a thing. Now crime's here. Now inflation is here. Gas prices have gone through the roof. I always laugh when I see that video clip of Trump telling people, gas, if Biden gets elected, gas is going to $6, $7, $8. And everybody just kind of giggled and went, oh, right. This guy's a lunatic. Here we are, gas, however much a gallon. One of the political cartoons after our legislative session had a person snorting cocaine out of a mountain. This is a cartoon. Had a person snorting cocaine out of a mountain of white. Big old white pile of coke, right? Knight told the New York Times on Saturday, it said, which of these is illegal in Oregon? And the answer was the plastic straw. The answer was the plastic straw being used to snort the coke. Wasn't the coke at all. It's a plastic straw. Oh, those plastic straws. I mean, you got to get rid of those. Those are illegal. Hard drugs like cocaine. Nah, decriminalize that. We want to make everybody happy. Those straws, those are out of here. We've got these ridiculous like cardboard straws that are so annoying. They come with like a little like paper cover over it. It's so hard to get paper off of cardboard. I know it's a first world problem. And I know these straws are better for the dolphins or whatever it is. But, I come from an era where you just had stuff that was different, that everything wasn't all about, recycle and the environment. Now we're getting rid of plastic straws. Yeah, apparently that's a thing. So Knight went on to describe himself as an anti-Tina person to the New York Times. Doesn't really not. We're not going. I am all for this candidate because of their skill set. I believe what they believe. I believe that they've shown in a prior position that they can make change for society and the governing office that they're looking at trying to win. He's not really going down that road, is he? He's not really going down that this is why I'm going to vote for this person. This is why I'm throwing my money behind this person. It's kind of like the last election where they put Biden up against Trump because they wanted anybody, didn't care who it was, anybody that could beat Trump. And that's how Phil Knight, he's looking here in Oregon. It's like, anybody, just get me, I don't care. Get me a warm body that can win this election. I'm going to toss millions behind this. And that's what he's done. He's just out and out. This is what he's done. And now he's coming right out and he's talking to the New York Times and saying, all right, here's what we're doing. It's what we got going on. He's so anti-Kotek. And I know you guys with the silly names and whatnot, they are all funny, but I'm not going to do that here just because, not appropriate, Oregon has not elected a Republican governor since 1982. Okay, 1982. I was alive then, but I was in elementary school, 6th grade maybe. But polls show Drazan with a solid chance of taking the election. An October 13th polling average from 538 has Drazan at a 3-point lead over Kotek. That's impressive. That's impressive. Now, will it hold? That's the thing. Will it hold? I feel, and the numbers are 37.4% to 34.3%, with Johnson sits at just 16.4%. But that 16.4% of Johnson is taken away from Kotek, So lots of money into the Republican, lots of money into anybody other than Kotek. Drazan has styled herself as a moderate Republican in the race, focusing heavily on the issues of crime and homelessness. All you got to do is just go down that road time and time and time again, because that and inflation, and I think Republicans have it made in many races. There are some races that I think are just so wildly outside the realm of possibility, and this is one of those that I had thought of early on. Yeah, it would be nice to see somebody else make a move and, get elected in Oregon, but I just don't see that happening. But now we've got the reality of that maybe actually happening, because I think people are, especially people in Oregon, and their big, their big employment centers. They're like, okay, yeah, things have not gone down the road that we would like them, especially Oregon or Portland. We've talked about that for, so many podcasts on Portland. It's just the petri dish of what's wrong with the extreme left, right? I mean, all right, look at what they're doing. Oh, yeah. Night 95 of straight, protesting peacefully with fire and Molotov cocktails and all that good stuff down in Portland. Tina Kotek and Betsy Johnson have been driving Kate Brown's agenda for years. They've led Oregon down the wrong path, Drazan said at a recent ad. Tina and Betsy haven't fixed anything. In fact, they've made things worse. So that's all the Republicans, in my opinion, need to do is just keep hammering on crime, homelessness, inflation. Things are getting more expensive. This is costing you more. The only thing the Democrats seem to really be hanging their hat on is the whole abortion thing. And it feels like that's like a month ago old, right? That's just a month ago old. And they're still going after that. But I think people they're worried about how they're going to pay the bills. They're worried about getting, being a victim of a criminal act. We've had a lot of stuff going on here in Seattle. And people are like, yeah, I don't think it is the actual crime numbers are up that much, but they're up just enough where I think everybody is aware. They're like, okay, yeah, that's not good. That's not the direction we want to be heading. And then when you drive through areas of Seattle that are still wildly overrun with tents and homelessness, granted, it's gotten a lot better, but down in Oregon, it's gotten way worse. When you combine those few things, and then everything's more expensive, and then you can't get cops to come to your call, who got us there? How did we get into these situations? Well, yeah, doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. So let's give somebody else a run. Let's give somebody else a run in these offices. That is what feels like is happening. Now, do we have enough time? Are we there? Because literally, this is Nike, right? So this is a Nike podcast, right? Phil Knight, Nike. So we are coming down to the last 50 meters of a 1,600-meter race. This is the last two steps of a 100-meter race. This is the last set of burpees in the CrossFit games. This is the last 10 seconds of the fourth quarter of a basketball game. What's going to happen? I don't know. It's pretty exciting, right? We need a new direction. My roadmap for Oregon clears up our streets, stops the tax increases, and makes life more affordable for Oregon families. The stakes couldn't be higher, but together we can do this. That's what Drazan said. It's got to be true. Politicians don't lie, do they? So literally millions of dollars being pumped into anybody but the existing establishment. That's what's going on. That's what's going on in Oregon, and I think that's what's going on in a lot of other really tight, close races too. It just kind of feels like this might be the year that things take a little bit of a different direction, and which is pretty typical after midterms, where the current establishment, those in power right now, have kind of taken us in a direction that I think a lot of us are like, yeah, I might go a little bit more moderate. I might actually, and I'm talking people who normally wouldn't do this. The rest of us, we're reasonable. We know which way to vote. The rest of them are like, I don't know if I can get myself to vote for somebody with an R in front of their name, but you know what? Can't hurt. And there they go. Will it go like that? I'm not sure. If it does, even if it doesn't, I mean, I think we're going in some of the right directions here. Race for governor in Oregon that's this close kind of tells you something, doesn't it? Kind of tells you something. Either which way, I'll report back for you right here on News for Reasonable People. Thanks for joining. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.